Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. It is album review time, gentlemen. And for this review, Duncan Kyle and myself have been checking out the new album from Ohio death metal crew Sanguisugabogg. The band's new album, Tortured Whole, will be released on March 26th via Century Media Records.
We're saying the whole is spelled W-H-O-L-E.
Yes.
And it's not a description of my anus.
It is not a tortured hole.
No, it is not. This is the debut album from Sanguisugabogg. See, I like saying that now that I know how to say it. I'm just going to say it as many times as I can. Yep. It is Latin for bloodsucker, Sanguisugabogg. The band released a demo back in a demo EP back in 2019 called Pornographic Seizures, and so far have released a few singles from this debut album. They class themselves as down-tuned drug death, which is a demonstration of sludgy traditional death metal of the highest order, with a slaughterhouse worth of body parts and punishment oozing from any speakers brave enough to broadcast it. They also have a bit of humour about them, if you
really?
haven't guessed.
Dick Fillet, is that
yes.
Is that what we're gonna, or Fillet?
The song titles. Yeah.
Fillet, yeah. That's one that made me laugh.
So you'll see that from the majority of the song titles on this album.
We've got the best name for an interlude ever, which I've called Interlude. I swear to God, I've never been so happy about something. Peek behind the curtain here, Dave. Peek behind the curtain. This come in, and what were we like when it came in? You're like, what are we going to do on the podcast? Got this like Sanguisugabogg, and we were like, what was that? And then we checked out them on YouTube, and let's be honest, what was on YouTube didn't sell us. But like, I heard the guitar tone, and I was like, oh, actually, this is pretty cool. And then Dave listened to it. Dave's like, that sounds pretty interesting. And then we're like, well, let's fucking do it. And here we are, about a week and a half removed, 2 weeks removed, and I've never been happier. It's so fucking good for this.
The other thing is that I read in the press release, they also align themselves with Trauma,
which would make a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Yes, the beloved renegade indie filmmakers responsible for Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, you're going back years now. They've
Class of Nukem High. Yeah,
you're doing all the good shit. If you ever what you should check out is, what was the name of that? The chicken restaurant one, which is what Poultrygeist, which has what is one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen. But yes, there is the, like, from the names in here, this is like they're all very Trauma-esque humour. So yeah,
the guitarist Boggs.
I thought you were going to say directed Poultrygeist. So you'll be happy to hear this review.
He says the gore in our lyrics would be too explicit to show on film. It's the stuff you'd want to see from the ultimate slasher. A lot of songs are about killing paedophiles and other bad people. Menstrual Envy, the first song in the album, is about taking a bunch of drugs and chopping your own dick off.
Menstrual envy. Do you think women suffer from menstrual envy? This is a time that I wish we actually had like there was a fourth podcaster here. In fact, we'd need two. Otherwise, it would seem like inappropriate in the workplace. But if we had like two women on the podcast as well, we could pit them off against each other and see who had. Do you have menstrual envy? That's what's. Oh, you don't. That sounds like someone who had menstrual envy would say that they don't.
If you say so. We have been reviewing some fairly technical. I don't know where you're going with that. Some fairly technical death metal recently. Stuff that's very precisely produced and has a lot of moving parts to it. But with Sanguisugabogg, the blueprint is slightly different. These guys lean a little more towards the kind of bludgeoning, brutal side of things, like both in their delivery of their style and the production of Tortured Whole. it put me in mind of a lot of kind of old school bands like. Well, not necessarily old school. There's a few of these are new ones, but Undergang just released an album not long ago. Remind me a little bit of them. A bit of Mortician, Kraanium as well. Could hear a bit of Kraanium. A little bit of Cannibal Corpse as well, actually. But it's very kind of like gore soaked, like kind of old school death metal that's just kind of dripping in meaty riffs and pretty undistinguishable vocals. But although it's weird though. Although it has like the traits of old school death metal, it doesn't feel like it's stuck in like the 90s or anything like that. It still feels quite current, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Production wise as well, it's quite a natural sounding production. It's not like overproduced. Not a drum sample in sight, Kyle. Just
it's in my
pummeling.
notes. It's in capital letters.
There we
it's
go.
the biggest thing. It says real drums! Exclamation point! Fucking smiley face.
It sounds pummeling, like the drums and the guitars. Disgustingly heavy. And then you've got that like guttural vocal style that's just kind of like dripping and reverb. I really dig this kind of like authentic kind of vibe they've got going. Imagine the drum sound won't be to everyone's liking, especially the pickled onion snare sound, like as we like to call it.
That sound is like Saint Angry.
Well, I was about to say this solves the question that a lot of fans have been asking for many years now. What happened to Lars Ulrich's snare drum from St. Andrew's recording studio? I'm just going to say, it reminds it's a cross between that and Psycore.
Psycore had a very pingy
snare. They had that snare that stuck. It was like every time it hit, it was like behind your eyeball, poking your eye.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's on here. I fucking loved it. Like the drum production on this is fucking great. The guitars fucking great. You want to know what made me smile from ear to ear? Is there are 2 interludes in here that are just 80s porn fucking synths.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. I was like, I actually thought, like, because my fucking iTunes, when an album finishes, it'll, like, the genius in the machine will jump to the next fucking, I'll pick a band that sounds similar or people listen to or whatever. I genuinely thought this is the shortest album I've ever listened to, because like, it's about the 4th track is Pornographic, which is the name of this fucking synthy interlude. And by the way, it's fucking great. It is so not like the album though. Like it's so like this is the thing that shouldn't be here, but I'm glad it is. And I thought it
totally works.
I thought it jumped to like the next album. Then I was about 30 seconds in, and I'm like, it couldn't have jumped to the next thing, because why would people? I mean, the genius must be broken if it suggested this fucking synthwave band is painting the same as Sanguisugabogg. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? So, and then I'll tell you, is that, and then it goes into Dead as Shit, and Dead as Shit sounds all the more heavy because of Pornographic. It is such a fucking good song, and this album just kept making me smile. There's whole sections where everything is just a vocalist just going, and I'm like, yes. It's everything you think you've heard like a really fucking meaty, punishing, amazing riff. They just do another one on every song. Every song just has this, like, they just have this innate ability just to write these big, fucking chunky, like brutal riffs that are not detuned within an inch of their life. They've not got 17 effects pedals on them to make them sound like a, I don't want to sound like Kyle, but like a computer's played the guitar. And you know what I mean? It doesn't, none of that. It's just got this earthy tone about them. They've got this really earthy, organic-y sort of feeling to them. And I genuinely, like, was just kind of blown away. And, like, it's a short album. This is like 30 minutes. Does in and out, does its business. A couple of interludes which are synthy and weird, which I kind of loved. But everything about it just works. I think the production is, when we mentioned this in a few albums this year, this is the perfect production for this. And if you don't like the snare drum, then fuck off. Buy the album though, support these guys, but fuck off. Like, because to me it was one of the things that made it a little bit special, made it differentiate from other albums that I've listened to. It also weirdly fits their sound. Like, really fits the sound. It cuts through, that snare cuts through absolutely fucking everything. Their drummer is a tank as well. I really like some of the stuff he was doing. And yeah, this is one of these. This might be one of the. And I'm going to watch how I temper this because the band using their press statement about how extreme they are. Maybe the most accessible death metal album I've listened to in I don't know how long. And that after the first listen, I was like, "You have me. I will listen to this again and again. You have me in. You need do no more work. You have me in." And I can tell you right now, Dave's kind of smiling because I don't say that about death metal bands.
No,
ever. I'm like, I've listened to it 3 times. I might listen to it at the end of the year when I'm formulating my list, but bye. This time I was like, it finished, I was like that. Let's do this again. Let's do this. I was painting my hall today listening to this album, and I was having fun doing it. I fucking love these guys. I'm so glad that we're covering them. I am so happy. Great names, great humour. Can't make out a word of what the guy's singing, but his vocals are amazing. Drum sounds awesome. Riffs are fucking meaty and great. What more could you want? Dave,
True.
Kyle, the Dream Killer. What more could you want?
True. Kyle, what did you make of this?
First thing I've got on my notes is monster riffs. Check. Track 4. In parentheses, pornographic synth. Check. The track names are also Win. And then in big fucking capital letters it says real drums, and that's it. The first track begins with pig squeals, and for some reason it was like, alright, you've got me. I don't know why. You know how much I've complained about pig squeals in the past?
Yeah.
Well, that's because it just goes into... This band is like if you took the very early Cannibal Corpse, beat every member over the head with a baseball bat, and then gave them their instruments. Now record an album. This is what it would sound like, and it's brilliant. And I love how I love the track names. I really do. Dick Fillet, just fucking fantastic. Interlude.
Interludes awesome.
And then it's just this weird synth track that comes out of nowhere. 4th track on the album, and it's like, what? Hang on, this was really brutal a minute ago. What happened?
Yeah.
And then it's just like synth, back into brutal. Like, all right, that works. And I just love the tongue-in-cheek humour delivery of everything.
Yeah.
You can even tell the way he's kind of singing it and doing the vocals. It's a bit on the cheeky side.
Yeah.
It just came through really so well for me. And like we said, the production on it is real drums on a death metal album in 2021 is like, this is how you do it. They sound amazing. Our drummer's a tank. You can hear everything he's doing. That snare drum it's the cousin of Saint Anger, but it really works. It didn't piss me off. You know, if they were cousins, Saint Anger's snare drum would be the slow one.
Just love this idea of Saint Anger being worn around the neck of Metallica, but in this one it's like a watch strap.
Yeah.
It's kind of
stupid one. Yeah.
They have a track title about felching. I mean, that is a word I had forgotten even existed, and I will admit that I laughed far too long when I read it. Like, I was like,
blown away. It was so good.
I like this.
The riffs.
He's top for this shit, Dave. Don't you cut him off.
Okay, sorry.
The riffs, which is, like you said, I know you've already mentioned it, but I have to mention it again. Every single riff was just a monster, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know if they sat down since the 1980s when death metal was invented and just saved them all up until now, or what? Because every single one is incredible. Every single one is just and it's like, you haven't ripped anything off. This isn't derivative in much at all. It really sounds like who they are. But how did you do that? And the production is amazing as well. So yeah, the guitar tones. Oh my god, it's like they just jammed the mic right up into the amp and it's like
Totally.
fucking turn it up. But it doesn't sound crap. And I'm like,
Yep.
loved it from the first pig squeal to the last bit of whatever they were filtering. I'm
The
not
last bit of felching filth he was in. I like that. Davey boy, Grim does it.
I wasn't sure initially when we listened to, I think I listened to the first track was Dead as Shit was the first track I listened to, and I was like, it's like, this is cool. Like, for one track this is really cool, but I wasn't 100% sure if I could last the whole album of it. I was just a bit like, but turns out I like this way more than I expected to. Actually, they do it so well. Like, for an album, it's like, as you say, it's like 33 minutes. It held my attention the whole way through. And I think that's for a few reasons. Firstly, the riffs are so good. They're really well executed. It's just full of groove and brutally heavy. But they don't just like plod along like ticking the boxes. They do often like lead somewhere, which is like either like a kind of slower, more dissonant moment on tracks like Gourd in the Chest, or they kind of pick the pace up slightly and go with something a bit more kind of lead driven, like on Dead as Shit. So actually, there's a fair bit of variation in like different rhythms and different tempos throughout this. So that for me actually kept me fairly interested through this album, especially like tracks like Dragged by a Truck. Where they
Stop
like
laughing every time Dave mentions that.
They're just so good. It's like, what do you want from a death metal album? I want to be dragged by a fucking truck.
Perfect title. And actually, it's one of the tracks where they kind of slow down and speed up like mid groove.
Yeah.
Like, which makes me believe that this isn't recorded to like a click or a metronome. You know, it feels like a very natural, almost like a live setup. Almost, you know, it doesn't sound like quantized or like on the grid, as Kyle would normally say. Like, and I really like that kind of like natural feel to it. I like you. I love the little synthy interludes that were kind of scattered throughout this. And I think because this is such a brutally heavy album, you need those little kind of breather moments just kind of allow you to reset before it just like pummels you all over again.
See if they released an EP of just that synthy stuff, I would listen to the shit on it. It's so well done. It's not just like stock, we're going to feed in a sound or whatever. Like Pornograph it is so like having like just understanding synth sims and all the rest. It is so well written for a track that is basically killing time before you get punched in the face. That is you know what I mean? It is so well written, and the fact that there's care and attention taken to that track, which, like I said, it doesn't. It's not using the riffs from before. It's not even carrying a theme. It's produced much better than anything else on this album. Yeah. But it's like a weird synthy palate cleanser.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Before the next course kicks in, and then they just and like Dead as Shit comes in, and you're like, oh yeah, fucker. Like, and I think you need that. I don't think you get the same impact if you come from one song to the other. I'm with you, Dave. I think it's so well placed.
Yeah. Definitely. I really don't have anything that bad to say about this album at all, to be honest. I think
bet if you did say something like this is the band where you could say this is a real shitty album, they'd be like, thank you.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I don't, I mean, it's not going to revolutionise the genre in any kind of way, but they know what they are and how they want to sound.
Yeah.
And I think if you'll either really like this particular style of death metal or you won't. But I'm not sure this is a sit on the fence type album, to be honest. I think if... Sorry, Kyle.
Really popular. Sorry, I know I'll cut you off too, so I'm sorry as well. I think it's going to be super popular.
I think if you dig bands like Kraanium or Unurnment or something like that, there's a good chance you'll probably like this. I certainly did. I enjoyed it way more than I thought it was going to. It drops on, what did I say, March 26th on Century Media Records. But what would you rate this album? Duncan, what would you rate the new album from Sanguisugabogg?
I mean, in any other death metal review, I come in with a kind of stock 3 to 3.5 because that's what I think most of the genre merits for me. I'm not an appreciator of that music like you guys. I think it might be even down to the fact of you guys play instruments that are far more active in that sort of music than I do. Sanguisugabogg for me is a 4-star album. I'll tell you right now, in December I will still be listening to this album. There is no way I'm going to be sick of it, tired of it. And I'm also going to say you have no danger that they're going to pull an Architects and get a #1 album in the UK by going poppy. I think they have all the humour. I think you summed it up perfectly. This is a band that know exactly what they want to sound like. They know exactly the water they want to play in, and they have crafted an album which fits fucking pinpoint perfect within it. It's a great listen, and everyone please check this. Like I'm pleading, please, like check them out. Like the name, like once you understand it's Sanguisugabogg, it's easy to say. Dave's like I want to say it all the time now.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to greet people on the phone. Sanguisugabogg. That's from now on. It's a fun name. The song titles are hilarious, but first and foremost, does the music cut it? And it does. It really, really does. It's a great fucking album. So 4 out of 5 from this guy.
Nice. Kyle, what you rating Tortured Whole?
You waited till I drank, you cunt.
It's the first time I've enjoyed a Tortured Whole.
You're just not doing it right.
Well, clearly not until today. Ooh, no, this is great. I love the organic feel. I love that they're not on the grid. I love that they're just having the best time with death metal and not giving any fucks. And I love Felch and Filth. I mean, I love the song.
So that was clear. No one talked over it, and that will now be my ringtone.
I hope it is. And I hope it goes off really loud when you're with the
It's going to go off all the time. I'm going to be phoning myself. So...
I'm going to join Duncan and go with a 4 out of 5. Fantastic album.
Nice. Yeah, I would totally agree with your rating on that one. I'd go 4 out of 5 on this as well. Really enjoyable album, and as you say, it's one that I will definitely go back to. I wasn't sure at first after I heard that first track, but now listening to the full album, yeah, definitely I'll go back to it. And I've listened to it 4 or 5 times since we got it. Check these guys out. Facebook.com/Sanguisugabogg. You've probably no idea how to spell that, but it'll be in the Spotify link, and when the review appears on YouTube, it'll be on there as well. This one drops on March 26th on Century Media Records. Check it out, it is well worth a listen, and hope you enjoy it.
Commission for the weekend, the sheet is